Happy Tuesday, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another AvidMax tying tutorial. My name's Brady Laehr, and today we're going to show you how to tie the Hippystomper. This is an awesome dry fly pattern that utilizes foam for buoyancy, created by Grillos of Colorado, Tiemco Feather Merchant Signature Tire. It's a really cool pattern because it's very adaptive. You can tie it in a full range of sizes, all the way from the big size 8 that we're doing today. This is kind of a hopper version. And then all the way down to an 18 as well for caddisflies and other types of attractor color combinations. So I'm tying on the 3761 hook today. I believe this is the same hook that he prefers to tie it on. And we're using a UTC 70 denier in yellow for our thread. So we started our thread, walked it on back to that hook barb, and then we're going to tie in our tail. And for that I'm going to use just a little bit of moose mane. So we'll clip some of that off of the hide and get it stacked nicely. Pattern's also known as the hollow humpy, which is kind of the inspiration for the design. It's a similar build as a traditional humpy would be. So I'm going to clean out the under fur, that moose mane, and then stack it. Get all those tips aligned. Out of my stacker. And then we can tie that right on in, and we're going to do about the length of the hook shank for these. So we'll measure that out and then transfer it into our other hand and go ahead and secure it in place right on top. So I'll start it on my side and kind of roll it on over on top of that hook shank, and then I'm going to just cover up this moose mane. We'll use it as an underbody to help build up. Like so. You can always kind of sneak in front of it with a couple to get that to stand up so you can clip it out nice and easy like that. From there, we're going to go right into tying our next material in, and that's going to be our closed cell foam. So I'm doing two colors today. We're doing the yellow and the tan. And I went ahead and used the paper cutter just to cut them nice and even. A couple of even strips. You can use your hook gape as a nice point of reference to figure out your thickness or how wide you want the material. And the first one you want to tie in is going to be the one that ends up being the top of the bug. So I'm going to secure this in. I like to secure it in the bottom piece, or the foam that's going to turn and be at the top. I like to secure and have as part of the body to build bulk and buoyancy just on top of an already buoyant fly. Sneak some extra foam down under there, under our thread wraps, and we'll cover it up real nice and cinch it down. And then just make sure you walk all the way back to where your tail was so that you're covering up all those thread wraps that are underneath there. So some nice secure taut wraps to help bite that foam down. And then we're going to walk on back and we'll secure our second piece of foam in. I'm not going to build too much bulk, so this one I'm going to tie in towards the back, right on top. We'll do a few securing wraps, and then I'll even come in and clip this out a little bit to help smooth that transition underneath. And again, just bite into it. Make sure it's nice and snug. Use that power of the UTC to clamp down all your materials. So you pull it over, just make sure that you got them so that they're nice and touching there, so when you pull them over, there's not too much of a gap. And then we'll tie in our underbody material, which is just going to be some Flashaboo today. This is the Magnum Flashaboo. I like using the Magnum on this side because it covers the body a little bit easier. I am still going to use a couple of strands there to help with that. So tie them in right on the side. So right on the side of the hook shank, secure them in place. And we can take our thread on up, maybe even out that body just a little bit. Take it on up to where we can capture it with our thread. And then we'll clip out that excess. And I'm going to find my point. I like to be just a little bit further up from halfway point for this second step here to secure the foam down. So you kind of find that middle ground where you like it, and then go ahead and pull that first piece on over. Make sure you're nice and square on it before you go and add a second wrap to secure it in place right on top. We'll do one more just for security, then we can bring our other piece of foam right on over. Do the same thing. Line up in that same slot. Pull it nice and snug, and then give it an extra one. And then we're going to take the thread up to just a little bit behind the hook eye. We're going to leave ourselves a little room there. And we're going to pull that foam down and secure it all together, just like we did before. And two at a time, or one at a time. And then we can cover that section up that we just created and bite that on down. That's going to be our working area for the next few steps. Rough fingers fraying my thread. I'm going to go ahead and clip out the foam just to get it out of the way. So I like to, and I think this is how Andrew does it as well, kind of measure to match the back end to kind of keep a nice consistent shape to this fly. So we'll just go ahead and clip that out on the front, give ourselves a little bit more mobility, and then we'll tie in our legs. So I'm using the round rubber barred hairline legs here. These are the yellow or fluorescent yellow. And I'm going to take it, I'm going to measure for this first one. I'm just going to go ahead and measure it the length that I want it. And then we'll position that towards the back end of this tie-in section. So you can see we're on the back end, and then we're just going to work on forward and stretch that the length of that section. Kind of separate them out there. And then we can mirror that on the other side. Clip this to length. Give ourselves a little extra to chip off there. And then do the same thing on this side. Get our thread in the right position. Couple to secure it. And we'll walk on forward with it, keeping it right on the side until you're up at the front. And we can take our thread back, and then for this pattern I like to kind of just push the legs forward, and I'll actually clip them all the same length in the front. Makes the back legs just a little bit longer than the front legs. So from there, we're gonna add our poly post, our wing. And so I'm using just some McFlylon poly post material in white. We're gonna measure this to be the back end to go just to the end of that body. So we'll start it right there and secure it in place. And then the front, we want to be about the length of the body. And to make it easy to walk on up, I'm gonna go ahead and clip it right about there. And if you're clipping your stuff early like I do, maybe leave yourself a little wiggle room, go a little long, so that you can come back and trim it down. If you clip it short, there's no going back. We'll take that on up, and then we're ready for our last material here. So that's fixed right on top. The last material is going to be just some Grizzly Hackle. This is a whiting cape that we're using today. Beautiful whiting cape, good range of sizes, excellent barbel count. We'll go ahead and prep it, just pull some of those barbels right off of it to give ourselves a smooth tying point. And we'll secure it on the hook. And more I've started to X-wrap my hackles in place, so I'll do one front to back, and then I'll do another one, get that leg out of the way. Try that again. So we'll do that one front to back, and then we'll come back in, pull that hackle behind or in front, and then go front to back on it, and that keeps it nice and 90 degrees against the hook shank, like so. And then I will still kind of use that stem just for security and secure that down. So I'm going to go ahead and half hitch once more so that we can palmer our hackle forward. So close touching wraps all the way around. And that first one, just like with the flash, you kind of want to sneak back on it a little bit, cover up those thread wraps, and then just nice and touching going forward. All the way up to the end of that section there. And then we can secure it in place. And clip out that excess material here. Without clipping our legs. And then we're going to sneak the thread down and underneath to where we kind of left ourselves that room underneath the foam. Try not to trap any barbels here. And that's where we're going to whip finish, right underneath there. Last step to this fly, flip it on over. We did trap a few hackles, so we're going to clip those off close. And then something you don't do too often with nice dry fly hackle, we're going to go ahead and trim it down nice and flush on the bottom side. And his belief is that this helps it ride hook point down 90% of the time. So just trying to create a nice flat picky underbody there. And that is the Hippystomper. Great little fly, very adaptive fly for lots of different situations. Fish it in attracting colors, lifelike colors, big, little. Use it as your top fly for heavy droppers all summer long. You'll have a lot of fish eating it.